Well, hello and welcome to MFM models. This is part 3 of the Airfix 1/72 scale Supermarine Spitfire Mark 1A. It's the final stages, the home stretch. All we've got to do now, finish off the camouflage pattern. That's not finished yet, that needs darkening and toning and all the rest of it. Attaching the struts, the undercarriage and landing and takeoff gear. There's only 2 to go for that, so they're all kind of painted up. Oh yeah, the tiny aerial, that's got to be painted and attached in position, glued in. So then I can stretch the aerial across later when it's all decooled up and everything. And then the canopy's been painted up, the canopy framework. Sorry, can't see that. Canopy framework's been painted up. It's not been masked. I've just done it by hand and then removed it in the time-honoured fashion of the cocktail stick. So I've used a cocktail stick just to clean up any excess or stray marks that have moved off the framework, and then it's going to be cleaned up with a cotton bud. So it's not been cleaned yet. The canopy needs cleaning up with a cotton bud. Now that's painted up. It's not too bad a job. And then finally is our little crew member here, the pilot. He's got to be finished. All I've painted so far are the RAF blue-grey trousers, the boots and the socks tucked over, and the brown flying jacket. I've still got to paint in the life jacket and some other details, the mask, more of the face, and the flying goggles on there for that. I've got a good reference picture for that one, which I'll show you in a moment. So to mark out the camouflage pattern on the Spitfire, all I'm doing is copying the paint scheme of the rear of the Spitfire box, of the Airfix box there. What I've done, I've mixed up a very light, very thin, light earth brown. You can see there. And you want to keep that pretty thin, really. So that's going to be that part. The reason it's thin is then you don't have to worry about making mistakes. So you can always paint over that a little bit later. The main thing is just to get your little pattern out. So basically going to do this over the whole of the aircraft. Then once it's all drawn out, you can fill it in. So I just do this all the way for the, so obviously that it's going to be the dark green there. And so on until we if you get any thick on there, just take it off. Just take it off. And you can tidy it up a little bit later with the other colour. But you don't want it too thick, because when it dries, when you've got your final paint scheme accomplished, it will show through. So make sure it's really thin. Right, what I've had to do is I've had to darken the earth a little bit. These kind of worms or lines, if you like, use the current expression, because it didn't show up on the camera. So I've darkened the lines just so you can see the effect we're after. So there you've built up your pattern, your worms, if you like, your camouflage lines, your pattern lines, and then once that's done, then you can start just lightly shading in your dark earth green, sorry, your dark green, or your matte, actually your matte dark green. Matte dark green is the eventual colour you're aiming for, so you're going to have to keep mixing the tones if you're not using the bought paints like Revel or Tamir or Humbrol. If you're mixing your own, then obviously. But anyway, so we just you just build up your other pattern colour. Just very light washes, almost translucent. Like I say, so if you make mistakes, you can go over them a lot easier. But the hardest part is actually drawing the lines out. If you can't draw the lines out, don't worry. Get someone to help you with, or try drawing it out with pencil, with a very light pencil mark that you can rub off, or that doesn't show through. Just say very light pencil mark. If you're wary about painting them straight on, there's other ways. You know, you can either mask it, obviously, if you really can't do either. But try just drawing them on. So we're going to do this over the whole of the model, over the whole of the aircraft, until we've built up a much more uniform paint scheme over the surface of the aircraft there. Right, job is almost done now for the first camouflage layers. There's still a fair bit needs to be done, but we've got the main pattern washed in. So as you can see, you will see brush marks if you left it like that. But the next layers, the thin layers, I'm going to use thinner. We'll mix it with some clear, get the absolute right colour, and add some very thin layers. Also going to work on the matte earth now. So I could say not quite job done, but we're not far off the finishing post now. But this is the fun part. This is the enjoyable part. If you're in a relaxed mood. If you're not in a relaxed mood to do the painting, try and leave it for another time. Depends on obviously your time constraints. If you've got time, leave it. If you don't, well, obviously just try and crack on with it. But and there we have it. So far, that's the progress of the acrylic painting so far. See that there. The sides. Yeah, so still a bit of work to be done, but this is definitely the enjoyable part of the builds. Right, for the pilot reference figure, this is for the Spitfire pilot, or I guess, general RAF pilots at the time. Did this for the colour reference for the painting. I've used this Revel picture which I found online. It's only one of the few decent ones up there. There's such a mishmash of stuff online. You're better off with a good magazine or a book. But this one was pretty good. It's off a Revel box. I think it's the Revel 1/72 scale RAF ground crew kit or figures. But that's one of the clearest that's on there, really. As you can see, it's got a few figures on there from ground crew, you know, mechanics, pilots, navigators, things like that. So this is a good one to reference. It's online somewhere. You'll find it if you need to you reference the pilots. You know, that's if you're interested in painting up the pilot. So that's what we're using for that. So now we're going to get on and finish this off. Right, so we finished the pilot now. It's painted up. It's a pretty passable job. It's a passable job. Probably spent longer on it than I should have done, really, but it's all kind of learning. But I've done a few touches of dry brushing over the leather jacket just to give it a sort of look of light and texture on it, and it's had a darker brown grey wash over there. Because a bit of dry brushing on the flying glasses or pilot's goggles, aviators goggles, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, so that's that. So all we've got to do now is assemble all the parts together that are left, which is very few. So the next video will be the final reveal for this little baby Spitfire, if you like. So the final reveal will be for the next video. I probably did say that the next video, or this video in fact, was supposed to be the 1/72 scale following that, but I got sort of hooked up on this one, so that will be following shortly anyway, than that video. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.